What's up, everybody? Today I have a Pivot Switchblade. This is the brand new all-mountain trail bike from Pivot, and it's a little bit out of my comfort zone. You may, if you follow the channel, know that I'm a big XC nerd, and this is a bike for cool trail riders. Definitely cooler than me. I'm gonna try to figure it out today. This bike has 160 mil of front travel with 142 in the rear. It's a lot more than I am accustomed to riding with, and it's a lot more than I would personally want in a daily driver for myself. I really think that 120 is kind of the sweet spot for, dare I say, all riding at this point. I mean, obviously like downhill and enduro tracks are different, but I think the majority of riders are gravitating more towards these shorter travel bikes at this point in time. And that's, I think, because the shorter travel bikes have just gotten so good. And I think it's interesting, like, is there still reason to have this big travel machine as your daily bike? With the context of that we're in the Midwest right now, I'm in Indiana. We're gonna go ride some Indiana mountain bike trails, see if this bike is in fact valuable to somebody riding mellower trails. The Pivot Switchblade ships with Maxxis Minion DHF DHR in the EXO Plus casing. These tires are probably great. I don't think that they're bad. They really are overgunned for any sort of Midwest trail riding. We're gonna be switching to, I have this set of Schwab Knobby Nicks laying around. Still a trail tire. We're gonna keep it in the trail tire category. But this is the super ground version of this tire, and I kid you not, this tire it's gonna save a pound per wheel switching over to these tires real quick before I go on this ride. And I think that's gonna help with at least my enjoyment of it. Well, I'm gonna enjoy it no matter what. I'm going mountain biking, but you get what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm gonna give the bike the best shot I can. If you're looking for tires, hit us up at thebicyclestation.com. We have tons of cool tires in stock, or anything in stock. You can order it right now. Most frames can ship directly to you. And if you're looking for a custom build, we are very confident in our ability to build whatever bike you need the way you want it. So hit us up, link below. This size medium bike has a really tall stack, a really short stem, and I've been sitting here in the shop, like, prepping to film this video, debating if I wanted to start changing stuff, and ultimately I think that it is probably better just to leave it the way it is and see if there's something to this short, tall bike setup that I'm very foreign to. For me to actually, like, let's just say theoretically I was trying to put this stem at the right height for me, I would need something like a 70, -20 to -25 completely slammed. I don't think that's the way that this bike was intended to be ridden, and I think we're not gonna do it just for that fact. I wanna see if maybe I'm wrong, you know, like I could be wrong about, I'm probably not wrong with my own bike fit, but I don't wanna transpose my XC bike fit onto what is not an XC bike, so we're gonna rock it the way it comes, which looks like a 50 mil stem on this bike currently, maybe a 45. If Pivot's Super Boost is something that I notice, I am a person who has drawers of bike parts and wheels and stuff laying around. You might have the same catalog of stuff in your home shop or at your garage, or you just like tinkering. That's I think pretty common in the bike world. Well, Pivot uses a rear axle spacing called Super Boost, and what that does is I have been told that it helps increase stiffness while also fitting a big tire and also the crank and the suspension. They're using Super Boost kind of in the same way that gravel bikes have switched over to using like that dub wide spacing. The only problem with Super Boost is that nobody really makes wheels for it. I mean, people do, but I guess let me rephrase that. It's uncommon. I'm sitting here with I have a Zip Zeromoto trail wheel set, and instead of just throwing this on the bike, I can't, which is, I don't know, it's just a little annoying in my head. I wish that I could just put my wheel set on this bike and go ride. If you're kind of locked into the wheel set that Pivot provides, which is not a bad wheel set. This is an aluminum DT Swiss XM 1700 wheel set, totally fine. Is it as cool and fancy as my Zips? No, it's not. And again, I already own this Zip wheel set. It's incompatible with this Switchblade. I think this just presents a problem for enthusiast customers who maybe they had a specialized stump jumper Evo or like a Trek Fuel EX, and they're like just into trail bikes. I'm just making up this hypothetical person. And then let's say this person decides they want to buy a Pivot Switchblade. Well, maybe that person invested in a fancy wheel set like I have, and now they can no longer use that wheel set on their imaginary Pivot. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this. Does Pivot Super Boost influence your purchasing decision with the bike, or are you guys all good with just the way they ship it? I'm gonna try to focus in on seeing if I can feel the perceived benefits of Super Boost today, because I am definitely skeptical of it at this stage in time. Not skeptical of the bike, though. I want to make that clear. The bike I'm pretty excited about, and I think is an awesome bike. It's going to pedal amazing. It's going to pedal better than I would say a lot of trail bikes do, but is Super Boost completely necessary, or is it making it a harder purchase for people? I would love to hear what your thoughts are.
All right, and before we hit the trail, the way I'm riding this bike today is 32 pounds. That's with the Navi Nix and the S-Works saddle that I switched out, bottle cage, computer mount, and pedals. So this bike is effectively 10 pounds heavier than bikes that I'm used to riding daily, but I don't have a good gauge on if this is heavy for a trail bike, so sorry, but it's definitely heavier than my stump jumper. My stump jumper weighs 26 pounds, extra 6 pounds over my stump jumper, extra almost 10 pounds over my Epic and BC40. This Switchblade retails for $8,700. Comes with EXO transmission, Fox factory suspension. I wanted to point that out because the dropper isn't stock. The bike's a demo bike and it's easier to deal with a wireless dropper, so that's why there's a wireless dropper on it right now. I prefer that anyway, so it works. One thing that I think is weird is that you get the old codes on this. It's been a while since the new brakes came out, so not sure why we have a brand new model coming with old brakes, but we do. I'm sure it's due to inventory reasons, but probably would have liked to see the new codes on there, if I'm being honest. Anyway, we're gonna head out to Crooked Creek and actually ride this bike now. I was gonna ride Lucas Hollow as a warm-up, but I don't see a way around this tree, so we're not. Made it. Made it about 4 miles on the Switchblade so far. It's a little bit harder to climb on than I expected. The tall bars, I think, I'm just having a hard time keeping my wheel on the ground and maintaining front wheel traction up like short, punchy, rocky uphill. Super hard to keep my front wheel on the ground. I don't think that's a Pivot complaint though. I'm gonna separate this out. This is not a Pivot complaint. This is a trail bike complaint. We're gonna talk about them separately. Even though this video is about a Pivot Switchblade, I'm not gonna put that one on the Switchblade. I don't understand why having the handlebars so tall is helpful. So far, it's been nothing but making it harder for me to ride through this trail. Interesting, I'm gonna keep rolling. So I'm just walking to set my camera up, but like this switchback kind of steep uphill with 2 logs in it is usually pretty challenging to summit even on like an XC bike. So like I'm really curious to see if I can do it on this monster truck that I'm riding right now. It really truly is a big honking monster truck, and I feel bad because I just don't have a trail that I could go really unlock the potential of this bike on. Like, it rides well, I can tell it's a good bike, but I may have dealt it a bad hand, and I apologize for that. But there's a lot more downhill coming up in this Crooked Creek loop, so we're gonna hopefully get it out in its element a little bit more coming up here soon. And I said this was hard on like an XC bike to make, but it's a lot easier. I think what's going on is I'm just not able to keep the wheel like straight and narrow. And so I'm so concerned about like steering that I can't focus as much on getting over the obstacle. I think that's like the issue. I made it over the first one, but as you saw, the second one kind of lost my angle and even knocked over the camera there. So yeah, trail bike's interesting. I don't think anybody's claiming that they're good climbers, but they're really not. Every little thing becomes harder. And if you want to comment down below and say that I suck at mountain biking, you can, but I've ridden this a bunch of times on a bunch of bikes, and let's just say I'm excited to point this thing downhill here in a second, because definitely a little bit of an extra workout to climb up these kind of old school cross country trails, what I would call it. I would love to ride this bike in just wide open chunk. Like, that's really what this bike needs. And as I've gotten to know it a little bit, like wide open chunk, I like want to take this somewhere. I just don't have the time to do that. So we're here at the local trail. We're gonna take it down something though, don't worry. That was cool. This little super steep downhill. You can't tell how steep it is in the clip, but I hope you can tell how steep it is just by where my head's at. And so I'm standing here, the turn's there. Again, I would like to apologize. I misjudged what trail to bring this on. Although I can't think of a better trail to test this out in Indiana. I might go somewhere else after this, but absolutely extremely confident. I felt like I was just on flat ground the whole time going through there. And on an XC bike, you'd have to check up. Going into that switchback there, the pivot just totally didn't give a crap, just completely destroyed that turn. So that was cool. Just so everyone can see what that was. Hopefully this behind the scenes footage shots of what I'm doing helps with the like size of these. This isn't huge, but the bike definitely handled this, I don't know, 2 or 3 foot drop or jump or whatever you would call it, like super well. Felt like it landed with confidence. Cruising back to the truck. Due to my inexperience with trail bikes, I believe it is not fair for me to critique this specific pivot Switchblade. I feel like I would have the same opinions about any bike in this category that I do about this right now. And that's not because Pivot made a bad bike, and so we're not gonna critique Pivot in this situation. Before I go down this path, we're gonna talk about some good things about specifically the Switchblade. So the DW Link is badass. It pedals really, really well. I think that the suspension riding high in travel is true. I mean, it's pretty much immediately noticeable that the Pivot rides high in its travel. I'm just on a gravel road right now, and I don't feel tons of pedal bob. I can get into the travel if I want, but it doesn't do it unless I'm like giving it an input, which is pretty sick for a bike of this size to just kind of pedal like that. The Super Boost controversy, whatever that word is, I've kind of stopped caring about it. I can't say that I noticed that it was less or more stiff than any other bike, but at the end of the day, I give kudos to Pivot for sticking to their philosophy and designing something they think is awesome. I think it's completely good. Creator's intent triumphs. I'm gonna shut up about Super Boost, even though I don't know. If you ride big trail bikes all the time and have opinion about this, please let me know. I would love to know. I love the color scheme. I think Pivot's got kind of a sick identity going on where they're not super flashy paint jobs or anything like that. But like if I was gonna buy a longer travel bike, first of all, I think this would be at the top of my list due to how it pedals uphill. That's still very important to me. I just don't, like I said, I'm not out in Brevard or somewhere where we have big chunk that this bike really needs to thrive. But I was imagining putting like a Heavy Meadows lyric on this. Like it would be so sick. I'm a person who drives a giant lifted truck. I get it. I get it. You know, like I understand this fork. I understand this travel category. If you just are into it, you're into it. My truck sucks to drive in the city. Long travel bikes suck to ride in old school XC trails. And I want to be extra clear here. Extra clear. Listen to me. This is not Pivot's fault. Pivot made a great bike here. This video is now turning into a philosophy video with me here. All I've thought about all day long is how overcumbered, how much extra unnecessary travel, how knobby my tires were. And it just didn't make sense to me. Modern day XC bikes, I like to joke about downcountry bikes. We got the Hoosier Downcountry race coming up. Check it out. The Spirit of Downcountry beckons you to sign up for that race. Modern XC bikes have gotten more and more capable, lighter, and frankly, I'm not so sure there's as much of a need for these all mountain bikes as there used to be. I mean, personally, I can hit those jumps better on like my Epic BC40. Pivot made a good bike here. So we're gonna use the Mach 4 as my example for why XC bikes are awesome. So let's just say I had a Pivot Mach 4. I could have climbed better, hit all of the technical stuff better, been faster, hit the jumps better for me. I mean, the bike is just so heavy, it's hard to like pull it off the ground. My point is that XC bikes continue to be more impressive. Trail bikes, I think, have kind of stagnated. I drive a lifted truck and I get it, but it's very, very, very hard for me to understand why you would want to ride this thing all day long here in Indiana or anywhere where there's not an actual mountain. And if I'm being completely honest too, I would much prefer to ride a Mach 4 out in the Pisgah National Forest. That's just me. It would just be such a more enjoyable day. I've ridden out there on a Santa Cruz high tower. It gave me the same feeling I'm having today where I just didn't understand why I had such a big bike. So that's how my day went with this Switchblade. I feel kind of unsatisfied, honestly. I've set out with some goals today and I feel like I completely failed. Had some interesting thoughts, still had fun, don't get me wrong. Riding's always fun, but I have more brewing in my head than I expected. I feel like I need to give it a fair shake. Maybe I'll do a Switchblade build and that way I can hold on to it longer. I do really love this Mojave paint job. I think it's super sick. Whenever I go to build bikes, I kind of have like a vision for what I want it to look like. And I have a vision for this bike. I want to settle the Super Boost debate. I want to understand what these bikes are about. I'm a lifted truck person. I lifted my truck. I get it, but I want to really get it with these trail bikes. So this is my kind of I guess I'm having kind of like a mental crisis about this. I think the only way to answer this question is to build one up, take it where it belongs, and ride it the way it was meant to be ridden. Kind of feel like it would be interesting to do like XC bike versus trail bike on some Pisgah trails, not just here in Brown County where that trail's not that like that's a Black Diamond trail I just rode, but it's an old school XC trail. If you're gonna sign up for Hoosier Downcountry, marathon XC race, you'll get to ride it. I'm a little frazzled, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. I feel unequipped to give an opinion, and I want to be equipped to give an opinion. We might need to dive into this a little bit more. Thank you to Pivot for letting me borrow this for the day or the weekend, I guess. I really appreciate it. I hope that everybody in the audience understands that I am having a crisis that has nothing to do with the quality of this bike, and I would recommend you buy this bike if you're looking for a trail bike. I'm excited to possibly build one up, and I really want to take it somewhere where it belongs. I think it's unfair to judge it from my ride today, like I've said a million times. So yeah, weird video. Kind of apologize. I don't really think that's what I intended to make, but you know, I definitely feel inspired to get some redemption for myself in this trail bike world. I feel like this is going to be the start of something awesome. Can't say that I can do it immediately, but I think we're gonna do a big bike build, and we're gonna actually ride it in some places where it belongs instead of Crooked Creek. So yeah, I'll leave y'all with that one. If you guys are interested in getting a Pivot, hit us up. We can get it for you, or anything else you can, or pretty much order or whatever from our website. So thanks for watching the video. Subscribe if you're interested in future XC person turns trail bike person videos.